have a choice between the values, and we're going to cover the values today, or you're going to write about this CQ quadrilateral. And we are starting today with CQ drive. The first, before we take our break, we're going to cover CQ drive, and then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to go into CQ knowledge. Okay? And then next week we're going to do CQ strategy and CQ action. Okay. So here we go. Are you seeing it here?
Yeah.
Good. Is everybody seeing it?
Yes.
Okay, good, good.
Improving your CK knowledge.
Beg your pardon?
And
Yeah.
how to enhance your CQ drive.
Good, good, good. Now, this is what I hope that you guys would remember this and have it in your mind. CQ drive, CQ knowledge, CQ strategy, and CQ action. All of this is a matter of how do you improve your cultural intelligence, okay? Now, so these are the four, that is what is called the quadrilateral. Today, we're going to cover CQ drive and CQ knowledge. Under the CQ drive, you would see here, on the extreme right-hand side, the question you ask about your CQ drive is, what's my motivation? Okay, that's for CQ drive. What's my motivation? And we're going to find that it's broken down in three. It's intrinsic, extrinsic, and self-efficacy. And I'm going to get into that as we go along. On the CQ knowledge, the question is, what understanding do I need to be able to deal with this other culture? What do I need to be effective if I'm going to be a cross-cultural agent? And on this one, we find that there are four areas that we're going to talk about. Is the business cultural systems, interpersonal cultural values, sociolinguistics, and leadership. So those are the four areas in terms of what understanding do I need. Okay? Now, CQ drive. What is CQ drive? We define CQ drive as the extent to which you are energized and persistent in your approach to culturally diverse situation. What is going to move you? What is going to keep you at it? And that's the drive. It includes our sense of self-confidence in our abilities, as well as our sense of the rewards, tangible, both tangible and intangible. Now, so the key question here is, what's my level of confidence and motivation for this cross-cultural situation? If it's lacking, what can I do to increase it? So this is what is very critical for us as we move into CQ drive. What is your motivation? That's the critical question. That's the question we're going to cover today. How do you keep motivated? How do you keep at it? Because as I have said before, we will always fail in this experience. We're going to fail every now and then. But then if we know what our motivation is, then at least we know how to move forward with this. Now, let me ask you the question. What is, right now, before we delve into it, what is your motivation to be cross-cultural? What, right now, before I go into the lesson, what is your motivation to want to reach another person? Marlene, what is your motivation?
Well, first we're dealing with cross-culture. So, okay. And cross-culture doesn't just mean from different countries.
Yeah,
it also means, well, denomination. It also means business, from a business,
Good.
or from the Gen Zs, whether
Okay.
it's the generational, the baby
Good.
boomers, the Gen
Good.
Gen X. So
Tidmore? Yeah.
it's
What?
identifying what segment or sector of the working place or the marketplace that you really want to delve into
Mm-hmm.
to see um, who you can reach because of your area of expertise or
Good.
where you are located in the
Okay.
market.
Very good. Tidmore?
My motive is just one to be a better able to approach people without preconceived notions, and to just have my mind empty and have a better understanding of, no matter whether it's a person of different age,
Mm-hmm.
more appreciative of that person,
Good.
and learn more than give more.
Good.
So
Okay.
that's kind of my motivation.
Good. Barbara, what's your motivation?
My motivation is being an agent of change, being the
Good.
change that I want to see. Because it's easy to complain, but change what you want to see to make it better. So I'm like Tidmore. I just want to get better and be empty to learn more and
Good.
just be helpful in whatever ways God
Mhm.
have me doing.
Good. Dawn, what's your motivation?
Initially, it was, business because I interact with a lot of different types of people. I don't want to be offensive. I want to be able to interact with them in a genuine manner
Mm-hmm.
and, to show sincerity and compassion. But you have to understand, their culture in order to do that. If you want to reach them, especially on that level, you could go in and just be business as usual. But sometimes, you want to have that connection.
Good.
And then I thought about, this generation, because I have two growing sons, and it's difficult at times. It's really difficult, just to get them to understand, some of the basic components of life, and how serious some things are,
Yeah.
and you want to be able to reach them because they're more receptive, and you have to figure out how to do that in order to be effective.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And I'm learning that.
Good. 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 Justin, what's your motivation?
My motivation is to improve communication,
Good.
to have a better communication with cross-cultural leaders.
Good.
It's my
Very good.
motivation.
I like that. Anthony, what's your motivation?
Well, mine is ministry. Because that's a focus point where I'm here right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is to be able to effectively reach individuals for the kingdom of God.
Good. 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 All right. So I think we got a good sense of what this whole idea of motivation is. So let's continue with our PowerPoint. Where are we going? Yeah, right here. This gives you a sense of, this is the overall picture of what we are going to be doing today. We're going to be talking about how to enhance our CQ drive, and then we're going to be talking about best practices here. Okay. Now, you are acquainted with this. You saw this the first day of class. I said earlier that is intrinsic. Our drive, our motivation is either intrinsic, extrinsic, or self-efficacy. One of those two areas. Now, before I go any further, I wish you would write this down at the top. This at the top here. If you can write that down and go to that before our next class, and I want to talk to you about your score. This is the implicit and explicit. It's done by Harvard University. Go in there, and it's going to take about a half an hour. So whenever you get a half an hour, go into that website and take the test to see whether you are implicit or explicit. That will explain whether you are intrinsic or extrinsic. Now, intrinsic, when we talk about motivation, Some people are motivated intrinsically. That means that they are wired on the inside to want to be multicultural or cross-cultural. They are made up that way, and so they have intrinsic motivation. Dawn falls in this second, according to the question that Dawn just gave, she falls in this area. And this area is, what is it outside of me that I think would help if I become culturally intelligent? So this is outside. What is it outside that is driving me to want to do this? And number three, self-efficacy. Some people depend on their confidence. They have confidence that they can do it, and they take it on as a challenge. I can be cross-cultural. And so these are the three different areas of people who, so we as individuals, we fall in one of these areas. Either we have an intrinsic and innate, we are born with something on the inside that makes us want to be multicultural. Some of us is because of what we can be a better minister. In Dawn's case, she can do her practice better. And so in all of this is, what is it that motivates us to? And then self-efficacy, which means that you are taking this on as a challenge. Now, let me give you the script, this little video on my take on CQ Drive. What did you get?
Just be honest. Just be honest with yourself first. And if you can be honest with yourself first, you can be honest with anybody you come across. It'll just be a habit.
Good. What did you pick up from that short video?
You still asking me or somebody else?
Anyone. What did you pick up from that video?
Go out and just be exploratory in your area, your city, your neighborhood, your churches. Just go in and see, interview people, talk to people.
Good.
Be random.
Good. That will increase our CQ Drive. And you heard what I talk about, the intrinsic and extrinsic. So let's go back. Let's go back to our PowerPoint. Yeah, Anthony, you were getting ready to say something.
Yes, please. Yes, I was saying that we need to find within us what's our drive, what drives us, whether it's intrinsic or extrinsic, or whether it's a self motivation. Yeah. So we need to find that out so that we can be able to I guess use it effectively.
Yeah. This is really a multifaceted experience. Dawn, go ahead.
I have a question. In the video, you said that the extrinsic was more tangible. Can you elaborate on that just a little bit more?
Yeah, well, in other words, when you mentioned that in your business that you think is going to help you, that's an external or extrinsic, something outside. So and neither of these is bad. Not, it's just that we are wired that way. Some of us are wired in such a way that we want to be multicultural. That's intrinsic, right? Extrinsic is the perks, the advantages that we know. For instance, in business, we could be more successful if we are multicultural. So therefore, that's our motivation. We want our business to succeed. So therefore, that's an extrinsic or external motivation. Okay. And I may be wrong, Dawn, but that's what, when you mention your business.
Yeah, I was just talking about like the video, and you said extrinsic. They want more tangible things.
Right.
And, so I was just trying to get a clearer idea of the things that you were referring to as far as tangible, being tangible.
I'll give you an example. If Justin finds out that he has to go to Trinidad to work, he has to understand the Trinidad culture. Now, because he is driven by success.
Okay.
He wants to be successful. So Anthony knows that to be successful, if he goes to Trinidad, he wants to be a successful minister in Trinidad. That's an extrinsic drive, something on the outside. And that's where if some people are success motivated. I know that I have to work with other people of different cultures. If I'm going to be successful, I'm going to do it. That's extrinsic. Intrinsic is that you just like dealing with people of other cultures and you want to know how to do it better. So there's an internal part of you that just wants to be with people of different cultures. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the external and the internal. And you know, some people, we are all wired differently.
Okay.
And some people just like a challenge. So that's the self-efficacy. In other words, I like that challenge. I want to be with people of different cultures. I want to understand that. So you are driven by that. You're success driven, and so therefore you want to make it happen.
So I was just I think I understand the difference between the two. I was just trying to understand what was considered tangible. Maybe the success of it all, or
yes,
okay.
yes. The promotion on a job, that's tangible.
But I mean, you know, I think in what I was trying to explain as far as what was my motivation, it was building. I guess it will lead to you know, success, but it was building a better relationship with the person, you know, that I have to encounter, you know. So that's what I was, you know, and yeah, it may lead to, you know, some success.
Tangible, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like finding a networking. Try to network slowly but intentionally. You get into them and you're going to that person, but you want someone to introduce you. You want to tell them a little bit about who you are, and then you get into it. Then you start a poem.
Good.
You know, get the idea.
Yeah. So let's go back to our PowerPoint, and we will deal with those issues. If I can find my PowerPoint, I think I was here. Yeah. Okay. So therefore, what we're going to do is to go down these 8 things. So on the intrinsic side, there are 3. Okay. On the extrinsic side, there are 3 recommendations. And on the self-efficacy side, there are 2. So let's go to the first one. And we covered this on the first class. Face your biases. We are wired. Each one of us is wired in a certain way. We have grown up within a certain kind of culture, and it means that there are some things we like and some things we don't like. And because of that, to be a cross-cultural agent, it is important that you face your biases, whatever biases you might have against a certain kind of people that you know that you have not grown up around them. So therefore, face your biases. Face, you know, accept the challenge that you have. So it says most of us feel the greatest trust and warmth when we are with people just like us. And we know that. I am from Trinidad. I feel comfortable with people from Trinidad. You know, when I'm with people from Trinidad, I go into my own language. I go into my own Trini language, and I can use certain expressions. So there's a comfort level. However, when I'm with some other people, then I have to understand that there are certain things I could say and certain things I can't say, and understand those biases, and that would help us. Laughing together about things we find funny, ranting together about things that tick us off, and sharing an appreciation for some of the same food, art, perspectives on the world can be ingredients for building serendipitous memories together. Challenge yourself. Face the things that give you discomfort. and you just tell yourself, look, I'm going to get over the hump. I'm going to be a multicultural agent for the Lord because I'm going to face my biases, the things that I find make me uncomfortable. Connect, and all of this is part of intrinsic part. Connect with existing interest. In other words, the things that you like right now. Maybe you can find some other people who like the same thing, but yet they are of a different culture. And so therefore you have the challenge because you like tennis and you're going to find another guy who or woman who likes tennis, but they are of a different culture. And it's an easy way to enhance your cultural intelligence is by the things that you like. See if you find somebody else in another culture who likes the same thing. So it says, think of a hobby that naturally energizes you. It can be anything from cooking, exercise, fashion, photography, you name it. Now think of a way to connect that interest to a cross-cultural context. Could we talk about that a little? How do you use the interest that you have? What is an example of that? Give me an example of using your interest and finding other people.
Foods.
You're getting ready to talk.
Yeah, I agree. Food, cooking, baking,
right.
Sharing recipes.
That's
and
right.
playing games.
Yeah.
I played dominoes with Tidmore's wife, and oh my God, she is a bad domino player.
And you lost every time?
No, we were partners. No, we were partners. We were partners. We spanked everybody. But I didn't know Jamaicans knew how to play dominoes.
Oh my gosh. I find your interest and then find other people who have that same interest. It's very easy to bridge because you have something in common. And that's just pick up something that you know you like and you find somebody else likes the same thing. And so therefore it's much easier. You call it an affinity, and it's much easier. Any other question on this? Okay. So we go back to number 3. Scare yourself. You know, the politicians use a lot of scare tactics to get people to vote, and they have found out that it works for them. And I think in cross-cultural ministry, you need to scare yourself because there is something within us that gets the adrenaline flowing when we get scared. Scared of situations, scared of that experience that you have, whether you're going to succeed, how it's going to work out. But challenge yourself. Fortunately, you don't have to be in a real danger to experience the adrenaline rush that comes from fear. But think about how your heart starts racing when you're watching a movie and an attack is about to happen, watching a villain. So this whole idea of CQ Drive is that you scare yourself, and that will improve your own CQ Drive. So those are the intrinsic parts of this relationship that you're going to have with other individuals. Now we go to the extrinsic. Visualize success. Visualize what it would look like if you succeed in the experience. Just visualize it. What would it look like? Think of a time when you were successful interacting with someone from a different cultural background. What can you learn from that experience? What can you learn there that you want to experiment again? Think about the time, whether it is intergenerational or whatever it is. For instance, I came here in July of last year to work with the Community Missionary Baptist Church. It's a different culture entirely. It's my challenge. I'm constantly challenged because it's a different institutional culture. And if I don't understand the institutional culture, I'm going to be in trouble all the time. I imagine, what would success look like? What would it look like if I succeed here? Many of the situations that are most difficult for you don't come up as often as it might seem. Picture the kind of cross-cultural situation that's most difficult for you. Envision. And that's why I challenged you the other night to put a person's name on the inside of your Bible, and just imagine what would happen eventually if you reach that person. What would it look like? Imagine trying to negotiate pricing with a prospective client who offers you virtually no feedback. Then imagine how it could go in a way that would make you feel successful. Walk through it in your head. Just imagine all the time, what would happen if I succeed in this? Remember, we are talking about CQ drive. That's different from knowledge. It's the CQ drive. What would keep me going at this experience or experiment? So visualize success. What would it look like if I succeed? And then reward yourself. Know when you have succeeded and feel good about it, and share it with some people. Create some rewards for reaching your goals. For instance, that person that you're trying to reach, think in your own mind that when I succeed with this person, I'm going to take them to lunch one day. And to say to yourself, I'm going to take that person to lunch only when I have reached this landmark. In other words, then I am comfortable. In other words, you're challenging yourself. And maybe you say, I'm going to take that person to lunch when I've reached this comfort level that I'm going to be able to ask them to go to lunch. It might cost you something, but it's always reward yourself. In other words, the person doesn't have to know that you are excited about reaching a certain landmark, but at least you know it. You know that the reason why I'm going to lunch with this person is because I feel good about it. I feel good about them. I feel good about talking to them about my children, about their children. Those are the landmarks that you can measure yourself in cultural intelligence. Where do you want to be in 6 months with this individual? Any questions or suggestions? Okay. Visualize.
I do have a quick question, Oliver.
Sure.
You remember when you said write their name and put it in the Bible somewhere? Yeah. Was there a particular passage? Because I had this to happen to me when I was working at the bank, and a older Black lady came to me, and she saw how one of the managers was just so rude to me. And she told me, she said, baby, write her name down and put her name down in Isaiah 54:17. Pray on it, and you keep going. Yeah. And I promise you, from that point, I kept getting promotion after promotion. But I hear you asking us to do it again. So I was just curious, was it a certain scripture or just anyone we want? Am I making sense?
All I know is that there's a passage of scripture when God met Ezekiel, and God said to Ezekiel, write the vision.
Okay.
Write it down so that you always have it before you.
Gotcha.
So I've always told people, it's the same thing about goal setting. Write it down. If you write it down, you visualize it and you internalize it at the same time.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I think there's a scripture in Habakkuk that says, write it down and make it plain as well.
Right. Okay. Good.
Thank you, Reverend Timor.
Hey, they don't call you bishop for nothing.
I was just Googling it.
All right, Black Pro.
Yeah, and that's interesting passage of scripture. Write the vision, write it down.
Gotcha.
You know, and and again, we visualize and we internalize by writing it down. We write it down and we internalize it. It becomes part of us. And by the same token, we remind ourselves constantly of that goal that we have.
Gotcha.
Everybody's got a name in their Bible?
Yes. I got a few names.
Dawn, you got a name? Yeah, okay. Anthony, you got a name?
I haven't written it down, but it's in there.
All right. Justin, what about you?
I have a name, but not in the Bible as yet.
Okay, okay. Put it down in your. Maybe y'all don't believe in writing in your Bible.
Bro, I think these days, well, I go to church for the Bible, but then it's hardly been used. Because we use the phone, Bible in the phone, so.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Well, you can put it in your phone. Yeah, that's right. For those of us who are more tech savvy, just write it down in your phone. Good. So I think you got that. All right. Let's continue. So you're rewarding yourself. Charge your batteries, recharge your batteries every now and then. Cross culture, and I keep saying it because I don't want any of you to start this experiment and then drop off and say, man, this is hard. I'm telling you now, it's hard work. And every now and then you're going to have to recharge your batteries. There's a heightened level of energy and focus required to keep up with cross-cultural demands and challenges. And when you're in the midst of a cross-cultural situation, find ways to recharge your batteries. Find ways to back off sometimes. That's my remedy. I always say when it becomes a little difficult, just back off a little and recharge your batteries. And of course, we'll talk about strategy. Maybe you have to deal with your strategy. And so we'll cover that next week. But the importance of your health and stamina to your CQ drive is the greatest when your cross-cultural activity involves international travel. Let me just ask, how many of you have traveled internationally? Right? Have you left the country, Barbara?
I've been to Mexico.
Mexico, okay.
Yes, that's it. But it was a long time ago, and it was Laredo, Mexico.
Yeah. Dawn, have you left the country?
Yeah, I've been to Montego Bay.
Okay.
I've been there a couple of times. Well, to certain areas in Jamaica a couple of times. I like the food there. I've been to a couple other places, but I don't consider it as like, like a big, like versus going like really far away. To me, that's right there. It's not really.
So you felt at home in Jamaica with the culture?
I felt comfortable there in Jamaica, and I like to go there. I've been to been there a couple of times, to a couple of different spots. So, like when I cook, I like Caribbean food. I like, so I might make some peas and rice, but I don't know why they call it peas because, it's not peas, but, and some jerk and some oxtails and, all that stuff. Yeah.
All right. Anthony, have you left the country? And
yes, I've been to Texas.
Oh, good.
Corpus Christi, and around the Caribbean, yes, a few countries around the Caribbean.
Good. Well, I'm in Texas. I'm in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
So the next time you come and make sure you check me out.
Definitely will.
Yeah. Justin, talk to us. Have you left the country?
Yes, I've been to Brooklyn a couple of times well enough. Around the Caribbean a couple of times well enough.
Okay, okay, good. So all of us, and I know Tidmore has been all over the place.
Yeah, I've been a lot of places. Been to Iceland.
Oh,
I've been to Kuwait. I've been to everywhere from Kuwait to Mosul, as far as the Middle East. Been to Germany. So, over 50, over 75% of just the United States itself.
yeah.
All your a lot of your Caribbean islands, Mexico, a lot of places.
It might be helpful for this class, Tidmore. Let's use you as the guinea pig. Which country would you say was the most difficult for you in terms of the culture? Which country that you visited that you really had to try to what country?
The Middle East. One, it's a dry country. It's a dry country. Kuwait, actually, well, the going from Kuwait to Iraq is different. The finances is different. The people are different. In northern Iraq, you're dealing with Turkish. Okay. So and then you're dealing with other people from other countries that work in that area. So you got even a multinational situation. So you had to be really on your toes not to offend anybody.
Right. Yeah. And so that's the whole idea about cultural intelligence, being better able to deal with people from different cultures. Whoops. Let's go back here. Recharging your batteries. Maintaining control is very critical because it's very easy to lose control of the situation. So we want to make sure that we are always in control. We check out how we are doing with our own experience. Remain in control at all times. And then here are ways to enhance your CQ drive. Be honest with yourself. Examine your confidence level. Eat and socialize. Count the perks and become passionate about the bottom line. And I want to talk to you a little about the bottom line. These are the best practices. Calculate the personal, organizational, global cost of if you are not successful, what would it look like in your own experience? If you are not successful with crossing the culture or achieving that level of confidence, what would it look like? Then connect your cross-cultural assignment with other interests. Because on the first part, we talk about the intrinsic interest that you have. And yet, on the other hand, we are talking about trying out maybe some other interests that other people have. Just try it out. Like, the same thing we talk about Jamaica all the time on dominoes. I don't like dominoes, but when I go to Jamaica, I play dominoes. I lose all the time, but accept whatever cross-cultural opportunities are available. Try the local specialties and live for something bigger. That is our lesson on CQ drive. It is critical. This is critical because we're going to get discouraged as we get into this adventure. We're going to be discouraged, and yet in the midst of this, how do we keep if you don't keep your motivation right, you're going to be in trouble. Any questions on this CQ drive? Samson Juba is in the house. How are you, Samson?
Good evening. I'm good.
We didn't hear about your preaching assignment this Sunday.
Wow.
Did you preach?
Hello?
Did you preach this past Sunday?
No, my assistant,
Okay,
Bridge.
good. Oh, you got it going on. You got assistants and all of that, boy. So the CQ drive is important. Now, remember, some of you are going to be writing on the quadrilateral. You might want to write a paper just on the CQ drive, the CQ knowledge. You might want to do that. So let's, any questions on this drive? Any questions on this drive? This motivation, this thing that keeps us going and going and going, like.
I just have a comment, real quick, and I can, if you don't mind, I can share with my classmates. I got cussed out Friday for being in this class, for being in school of ministry, period.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it because it was my biological mom. I can tell you who it was.
Yeah.
But I've cut everybody off. So I'm doing different things, and it made my drive even more. So I'm good.
Yeah. We need to be always grounded. Thanks for sharing. We need to be always grounded in our motivation.
Yeah.
Our drive. What is it that's going to keep us afloat?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, in whatever relationship we find ourselves in, the only thing that keeps us going is that motivation.
Right.
That drive. Remembering why I got involved in it in the first place.
Right.
And if we remember why we got in it in the first place, understand what we were trying to accomplish, whether we are results oriented, but that's the way we work it, so that at least our own hearts will be warmed. Okay? Yes. Now, any questions on this CQ drive? So some of you may want to write on the CQ drive and make up a story. And I want to challenge you to use your own mind and write a story, if you will. And as I said before, I'm giving you a lot of latitude on that paper. I really want some of you to be creative, and I think it's going to be good. Now, when you take the test that I just gave you, I'm going to make sure that Samson Juba gets it, but I hope you will take that test so that you find out the intrinsic and extrinsic as to where you land in terms of motivation. So the link is on. I'm going to get the link to you, Samson.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and all of you got the address. Let me go back to it again so that everybody gets it.
Is it in Canvas?
No. Yes. Well, you will see this. There. There it is. HTTPS dot Crosscross Implicit dot Harvard dot edu /implicit.
I will send him this slide.
Huh?
I will send him a screenshot of the slide.
Yeah. It's a good test to take, and it takes about half an hour, and I think you will be blessed by it. Okay. All right, let's take our break now before we go into CQ knowledge. We are going into another phase. Remember the expression CQ drive, CQ knowledge, CQ strategy, and CQ action. We have covered the drive. We have covered the motivation. Why do we want to get involved with this? Some intrinsic, some extrinsic. But then we go to CQ knowledge. In other words, what do I have to know about this culture? Why is it important that I study the culture? Because what we will find is that every culture has assumptions and values. And these assumptions and values frame the upper part of the iceberg that you see. In other words, it frames behavior. People behave a certain way because of the values that they hold. And so that's why we have to be very compassionate when we work with other people, understanding that they have held values all their life from their culture. And you are, in a sense, encroaching on them, and because of the need to spread the gospel and the need to be a brother or a sister to somebody else. But more than just the motivation, we must take the time to study the culture, ask questions about the culture. So let's get back into, did I know last Saturday we showed the story of the Jamaican. Did you guys see it yet? I think I better show that now to you. Okay, what did you get from that?
Be very mindful of the event times and the event oriented times and what's time oriented. You definitely have to be very mindful when you're dealing with any culture, because everybody's different. Main thing, be on time, be before time.
Yeah. So again, we're talking about the assumptions and values, okay?
Right.
That is under the surface. Those are the values that are inherited. Those are the values that are embedded. Those are the values that people hold dear. And it is difficult for people to be reoriented. And it calls for a lot of patience on our part if we are going to work with that. So we're going to go in to this whole idea of CQ knowledge, as is seen here. Okay, now, so I will remind you of this again. So now we are going into CQ knowledge. What understanding do I need? Understanding of this culture, understanding of the people. What do I need? And so this is what we're gonna. The social scientists tell us that it falls into 4 areas. Just like in CQ Drive, we have intrinsic, extrinsic, and self-efficacy. On CQ knowledge, there are 4 areas that social scientists tell us that if we want to know about our people, it falls into these 4 categories. Business/cultural systems. Number 2, interpersonal cultural values. Number 3, sociolinguistics. And number 4 is leadership. These are the 4 areas that the social scientists say that if we have to get the knowledge of a people, these are the 4 areas that we need to concentrate on. So we'll get into that. CQ knowledge. It is the extent to which you understand the role of culture in how people think, how they behave, and your level of familiarity with how cultures are similar and how they are different. We seem to emphasize how they are similar, but we pay no attention to how is this culture different from mine. That's critical. So therefore, the key question then is, what cultural understanding do I need to be more effective cross-culturally? That's the question. That's what we're going to take up here. What do I need to understand about this culture? This is the broad scope of what we will be getting into now. We will get into how to enhance your CQ and the best practices for CQ. Like we found in CQ Drive, so likewise, this is divided up. So there is, as you would see at the top, business and cultural systems that we need to understand about that culture. What are the business practices? What are the cultural systems that are in this place? Interpersonal. This is the biggie. This is the biggie right here. The interpersonal or the cultural values that these people have that you might be uncomfortable with, but yet if you're going to reach them, you must understand these values. I am not high on this other one because I can't speak no other language. Yeah, I only know 2 languages, that's English and obscene. Those are the 2 languages that I know. And then, of course, the area of leadership. People who are in leadership, how do you enhance and get CQ knowledge as you would like to? So, under business and cultural system, these are the 3 things that we're going to look at. Under interpersonal, these are the 3 things we're going to look at, and sociolinguistics, and then of course seek advice. Okay, let's go here. First of all, if you're going to know about a people, do some people watch. Observe what people do. Go out into the park and just watch people of different cultures. Just watch them and observe them. Number 2, attend cultural celebrations. Because that's the place that you really see cultural differences. Let me stop here. What event is it that you have or that you occasion every now and then where you find people of different cultures? Anything in your life where you have to go with people of different cultures?
Weddings.
Weddings, okay, weddings. That's a place.
There's some funerals.
Yeah, funerals.
To work when I go.
To where?
To work when I go into the office.
Yeah, okay. People of different cultures.
An art gallery.
Marlene?
An art gallery.
An art gallery. Okay. Anthony, where do you go that you find people of different cultures?
Well, the job site.
On the job site. Okay. Dawn? Huh?
I said same work pretty much. Yeah.
Good. Justin?
Yes, well, as a police officer, you meet people of different culture every single day.
Yeah.
It has coming in every single day.
And Samson?
My job.
Okay.
My office.
Yeah. Now let me ask, did you all see the slap on TV?
Yes, I did.
I think you have 2 cultures clashing there. What give me some observations as to how did you look at that? These 2 black men on TV slapping each other. What are your thoughts?
It wasn't slapping each other. One slapped.
Yeah, what? Yeah. What are your thoughts, Marlene, on that?
Culturally,
Yeah.
He looked at his wife's expression and she gave him the look, fix it. So he went and fixed it.
Hmm.
That's my impression.
Okay. Okay.
Well,
Yes,
I
Barbara.
personally, being a female, regard knowing Jada and Will, knowing that they're so openly out there with their marriage, with an open marriage. First of all, if you got an open marriage, you don't put yourself on a different platform. That's number one. You sit in the front row of an award show with a comedian that's a host. You already know Chris Rock is going to say something. She knew it was coming. She knew it was coming. Will try to just, I guess, either satisfy his wife at that time, but I'm gonna be very honest. I don't condone abuse at all.
No.
And then with this being the first production of an all-Black production team, we didn't need no dings. We didn't need no additional distractions. And that right there could have been handled differently. I feel if it bothered you that much as a man, you should have waited till that man got off stage, pulled him in the back, and you guys could have talked about that like men. And I'm going to write my paper on values, because that's what we need to get back to. You know, it wasn't no values and all that. You know, you trying to be bold for everybody else, and that just wasn't good. It didn't look good for us as a people, because people already think Black people are just so animalistic anyway. They think we have to resolve everything with the fight, and we don't. We can do things in black and white.
Good. Did any of you guys from the Caribbean see that you want to talk about?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What from a Caribbean standpoint, what did you see?
Well, from my point, Black men, especially here in the Caribbean, love to defend. They love to defend the wife, or whether the girlfriend, whether they win or they lose. They just love to defend, and I just think that is just something in Black men.
Okay.
They love to defend.
Gary, it's good to see you on board. Tidmore, give us your reflections on that and what happened.
I took a different tone because of the stage and who it was. I didn't think he actually hit him. I thought, although the narrative is what we will see, you got the guy who won the best actor who did it. And I just didn't see it, because if I'm going to hit someone, I'm not going to hit them with an open arm, open hand. You tradition, and the reaction was not for self-preservation. So it just didn't, and I saw it on the replay and saw the social media. So if you ask my opinion, I thought it was staged based on who it was, when it was, and you chose Hollywood's biggest moment. So it was the fact that we're talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about the Oscars. No one even know who won. That he won an Oscar. Probably we talking more about what happened than the fact that he the fourth guy who won an Oscar. So to me, mission accomplished. They have the headline. All the other narratives about, you know, that's secondary to me. So I take a different tone on it.
Good. Okay, Gary, did you see the slap? Gary, welcome. Did you see the slap?
No, but what about it? I was going to look at it, but it's slipped me.
Okay. Well, it's good to have you on the program. Dawn, what did you think?
Oh, that's a lot, Dr. Phillips.
Oliver.
Initially, I didn't believe that it was, you know, real, and then I saw it again, you know, and I thought that Will was out of line. I mean, like completely out of line. I think that Chris Rock, also I understand he's a comedian and that's what they do. However, I think he should have done his due diligence to do research, but you never know what the reason why he said what he said. So I don't know that I can't analyze that. However, what I do appreciate is that he did not, because he could have, and he almost like implied like what I can do with this, and where I could go. So it would have escalated had he chosen to say certain things afterwards, or even react, and sometimes it could be a reflex, but he was very calm and very adult, mature about the whole situation, which he really didn't have to be. And afterwards, as far as Will, and everything, I just don't think that he handled it appropriately. He could have handled things differently. Then I just thought about a lot of different things, how we are trying to do things, as a race. And okay, now I feel like you set things back. Now I feel like you changed the narrative, about the perception, of where we are now. Then I thought about how would the church respond to this, because in certain situations even if you want to defend your wife or your family member or whoever, there's a right and a wrong way to do it. And sometimes, emotions are heightened, but how can you do it in a way that the person who's offended feels redeemed, and the person who did the assault or whatever is forgiven or restored? How do you handle that? And that is something that I think that should, that's for something else, should be addressed in the church, or how. Yeah, but I mean, it just started a lot of things going in my head, so yeah, because after I saw it, I mean, all of these things started just, and I'm like, oh, how do you handle, yeah.
It's a good lesson on cultural intelligence in that you ask other questions. I believe both of them were wrong. I believe Chris Rock should have done his homework, and he should have known about the illness of and to me it's the denigration of women. And I know that it has been brought up, the life that Jade lives, but to me that's inconsequential. Chris Rock is wrong to have done that. By the same token, Will is wrong also. Smith is wrong. That's not the way you handle situations for cultural intelligence purposes. That's not the way we handle. It has to be a win-win rather than a win-lose. And I really feel sorry. But there's another question that comes to values and the tip of the iceberg. What must have been happening in Smith's life before he came there?
But still, that's unconsequential. I mean, it doesn't matter if you have some things going on in your life. You need to deal with it. You need to address it. And I think clearly he has a lot of things that he has not addressed that's going on that in his marriage that's very public, but he has not dealt with it. But that is not Chris's fault or anybody else's fault.
It exploded. In other words,
if there was a trigger, it doesn't matter.
Right. But the important thing is, there go I but for the grace of God. It could have happened to any one of us. In a moment when somebody comes into our life, into our situation, and they don't know what yesterday was like.
Yeah.
They don't know what this morning was like. In our soup kitchen in Baltimore, I remember quite well some guys around who disappear when it gets cold. In other words, whenever it gets cold, they don't mind committing a crime so that they can go in the pen for the cold weather, and to understand. And I always tell our workers, be very careful how you deal with some of these individuals, because they're ready to go back in jail. And so you handle them with kid's glove, because you know somebody could explode. There was Kurt Smoke was the mayor of Baltimore, when a young man in hard times, a young man went in and he was talking to the clerks. He had 2 girl children, and he was wanting to find out why the check didn't come, why, you know, and he didn't like the way they answered, and he jumped over the counter and stabbed one of the girls to death. It didn't have to be that way. He was wrong to do that, but unless we teach our people how to behave behind the counter, so
Right.
it's all around. The burden is on all of us.
Yes.
To make sure that we teach our young men mediation, especially our black young men. We have to show them how to settle issues. And I think it behooves all of us to be able to explain to our children what really happened and what the lessons are. There are lessons to be learned from there, and I just hope that there is redemption for both of them. And I really sympathize with Will. You know, I sympathize with both of them, and it's the 2 black men that did not know how to handle the situation. But Will is more at fault than Chris Rock. Will should not have handled it. That's not the way when millions of people looking at you. And he blew a good night. He blew a really, really great night. And nobody's going to remember him for the award that he won, but they will remember him that he became violent because he couldn't handle a situation. But I feel sorry for him, and I feel sorry for Jade. And I don't know much of the story from before her life, but it is a sad situation, and it's very sad. My question, on our program last night, I asked the question: if they had belonged to our church, how would we treat them? If they were members of your church, what advice would you give both of them? But you would not put them out the church. You will keep them in the church and work with them in the church rather than throwing them out of the church. And that's what cultural intelligence teaches you, that there is always hope. Good contribution. I'm glad that you all had a chance to get into that. That's not a part of our lesson tonight, but okay. Now, so we had gone to attend cultural celebrations, visit grocery stores, eat, look at art. This is an area that is most challenging for people who are interacting with people from a different culture. Talk to me about foods from different cultures. How difficult is it for you to cross over and eat foods that you don't like? Is that a challenge for anybody?
It's a challenge for me.
Yeah, okay.
It was. I had a neighbor.
What type of food you have a challenge with?
Well, my neighbor, he was from, I think, Trinidad, Tobago, if I'm saying it right.
Watch your mouth, watch your mouth, watch your mouth.
He had cooked some goat. And you know, everybody go with this, oh, it tastes like chicken. No, it don't. Yeah. But it was some goat, and it had the yellow stuff on it. But the yellow stuff made it real good. And, you know, I just challenged myself to try something different.
Curry goat.
That's what it was.
Okay.
So it was good.
Anthony, what food is a challenge?
Well, generally I like food, but then I believe when you spoke the last time concerning the dog, I think a lot of Asian cuisine, not cuisine, but then what they use, so the dogs and the rats and these things. I mean, if I have to eat, I will, but then it will take some and doing it.
It will take some. It will take some cultural intelligence.
Yes.
I feel you, Brother Anthony.
Marlene, what food is a challenge for you from another culture?
Italian food. I don't like tomato sauce and all those things.
Okay.
I tolerate it, but I.
Good. Dawn, what food is a challenge for you?
I think that any animal that's gamey, that I can't deal with that. Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
Okay. Tidmore? World traveler, what is there any food that you...
Indian. Indian food. I mean, I don't, it's just not one of my favorites.
Okay.
But yeah, Indian food.
Yeah. Juba, what food is a challenge for you?
Well, I would say I'm a omnivorous. I eat anything. Well,
yeah.
Actually, when I'm hungry, I eat anything.
But you have no problem with another culture.
I don't think I have problem. I don't know, but what I want to say is, apart from my food, like I actually wanted to ask this question. Maybe it's the right time to ask it. I don't know. Can I ask the question? Yeah. Is this issue of compromise because cultural intelligence has to do with compromise, like you've said. And now, as a Christian, from my experience, now Bible said, "Thou shalt not be equally yoked with unbelievers." How do we put that in cultural intelligence? How do we place that? Where do we place that? Then two, when in my culture, in my own culture, we noticed something. There are some kind of what do we call? Can I say carnival that we have to do? And the traditional leaders will tell you there are things they should not do because of the gods in the land. So will Christians compromise and follow their culture? Take for example, there are certain days in the year that they must not beat drum. And you are a Christian, you have to beat drum and worship your God. How do we settle this kind of rift? Because it's been causing problems for missionaries in my city, in Nigeria, in some states, that the traditional leaders want to do their things. The missionaries said, no, we have to worship God, we have to beat our drum. No, then we used to tell them that, well, let us observe and let us reason with them for the 7 days. But some people will say, no, we are Christian, we must not compromise, we must let them stop. We want to stop their own culture, and it causes problem. In fact, they kill people. That some missionaries have to run away. Now, how do we explain? Can you give us a little, what do we advise us to do in this kind of situation?
Well, you have right, wrong, and different.
Yeah.
And we have to, when we're dealing with cultural intelligence, there are some things are right, some things are wrong, and some things are just different. And we have to be able to make that differentiation. Now, in terms of the passage of scripture that you reference, be not unequally yoked together, it is wrongly interpreted that it means marriage.
Yes.
It does not mean marriage. It is more, it was a business. Paul was talking about businesses. But we have misappropriated that passage of scripture to all we talk about is husband and wives. Christians should marry Christians, and I have never kept to that practice. No, I have married people with Muslim background and Christians, and this whole idea of unequally yoked together, to me, we work from a disadvantage in this sense.
Right.
Why is it that we always think that the unsaved person will influence the saved person? It could be in a relationship that the saved person can reach the unsaved person. And we have to leave room for that. We just don't know what God can do. Now, there are Acts chapter 15, they had the same problem. And because of circumcision, where circumcision was a Jewish practice, and the early church was saying, Yeah, well, you've got to be circumcised. And Acts chapter 15 plainly states, solve that problem about meats offered to idols. However, when they settle that dispute that you don't eat meat offered to idols, it is not that and Paul later on says, it is not that anything is wrong with the meat. If the meat is offered to idols and you refuse to eat the meat, there is a sense in which you are saying that something happened to the meat when it was offered to idols. If their God doesn't exist, then the meat is the same. However, Paul said that if you know by eating meat, your brother will stumble, don't eat the meat. And sometimes the compromise we make is not that it is sinful, but it is different, and we would rather. But we have to, and we talk about that circle, the different, the right, the wrong, and the different. Some of us have a big bag of wrong, things that are wrong, much bigger than the things that are right. I try to find things that are different, and so that the gray area rather than right and wrong. So I think we have to be you use the correct word, Juba. Cultural intelligence is compromise. You have to compromise. There are some values, the values that you have that you're going to stick by, but sometimes they are just values and assumptions, not right or wrong. And at least what I say is, win or reach people to Christ at any cost. Reach them.
Right.
Sometimes you have to, you don't have to be sinful, but at least, be sympathetic and be understanding why people do certain things.
Yes, thank you very much. Like you have said, we have won many kings who were serving gods through this cultural intelligence. Because we were able to reach them, ask them, what is this culture all about? And we found out that some of them, they were just worshiping gods they don't know. But when we brought our own, and they see how Jesus walked in their life, and they see a turnaround, they came and they give their life to Christ. Most of the times when you look at most of our big, one of the ministries in Nigeria, you see kings with their crowns on their head. They're in front of the church. Now their soul have been won. Why? Because we were able to compromise. We went extra. We left. You have to leave your own shell, to go into their own shell and to win them. That's the way. Like my mom used to tell me that if you want to catch a monkey, you have to behave like a monkey. I think it works like that. Thank you.
It is. There are two types of evangelism, and could be looked at in terms of Western farming and Eastern farming. And this is good for cultural intelligence to understand. Western farming and Eastern farming. In the West, what people do with their farms is they put a fence around the farm so that the animals will not go out of the farm.
Right.
They build these big fences. That's Western farming.
Yes.
Eastern farming is a little different. They don't build fences around their farms, but they make sure that in the middle of the farm, there is a well of water. So wherever the animals roam, they will always come back to the well of water.
Wow.
So we have to be very careful in what, are we building fences, or are we giving people a well of water that is so attractive that they will be drawn to it? And I think that's very critical in terms of how we reach people. Meet them where they are, not where you would like them to be.
Yes.
You know where you like them to be, but don't meet them there. Meet them exactly where they are and try to understand why they do what they do. Any questions on this? Okay, let's continue here. Visit the grocery stores, eat. So that's the first. Study the culture up close. Secondly, Google smarter. This Google, you can Google and find anything about any culture. Use it. Businesses are using it very, very effectively. You can learn about our people by other people by Googling them. Just Google them all the time. Google and find out about our people. I used to travel around the world, and that was part of what I did. Just try to Google and find out about people even before I get there. But use that instrument to your advantage. Then increase your global awareness. Understand what is happening in the world. Knowing that Singapore is not part of China and understanding that it's not a land of squalor is an important and elementary point to understand. I know that sometimes people ask, where is Trinidad? And somebody says, oh, and I say I'm from Trinidad, and they say, oh, what part of Jamaica is that?
California. Or Texas.
Let me give you an example. I worked in headquarters, and we had 21 different cultural groups, and we had what is called the African Strategy Committee. And one of the guys from Nigeria came to me, one of the ministers, and he says, we need to have a Nigerian committee. We had different committees, and I am saying to him, well, we do have an African committee that's meeting the needs of Africa. And he took me to lunch, and he very nicely told me that if you think that every country in Africa is the same, you are sadly mistaken. You have no idea of the disparities. Ghana is not Kenya. Kenya is not Ethiopia. It's all Africa, but every country is different. Every country has its own culture.
There are differences between the tribes in the same country.
In the same country, yes, yes.
The tribal differences. I got a guy from Ghana I work with, and I pick his brain on everything.
Yeah. Understanding that because, and again, take the time to understand the culture. And he taught me a lesson. He says, no, it's not just Africa. It's Kenya, and it's Ghana, it's Ethiopia, it's all Nigeria, it's all these, and every one of, and you're right, Tidmore. Even within the country, you have tribes.
Wow.
It's a difference between Fort Worth and Dallas.
Yep. Yes, sir.
That's right. Okay.
Cedar Hill and DeSoto.
let me tell you, and Juba, this is particularly for you, as you was mentioning. I had gone to Hawaii to work with the Samoans, and I was preaching that night, and the Samoans were going to have Samoan ministers were going to have a meeting that afternoon, and they told me, they said, Dr. Phillips, we are having a meeting, but you don't have to come to the meeting. You come 7 o'clock and stay in your hotel room. They told me that about 3 times, and so curious me, I figure, well, they don't want me to see something. So I left my hotel room about 4 o'clock, and I went to see these ministers. And as I saw the ministers, it was Juba, it was Samoan culture, all Nazarene ministers, but they were practicing their own culture, and they were all sitting on the floor with their legs crossed.
Okay.
And I walked in, and I'm like, I got to cross my leg. I mean, I had a little problem getting up, but I sat down there and I crossed my leg. Now, they were all talking in their language, which I couldn't understand. And the guy that I was sitting next to kind of interpreted for me. But what was happening, I looked and they were sitting like a horseshoe, and there was a lady in the middle, sitting down in the middle with a basin of water, and she had a bag in her hand, and she keeps putting the bag down in the water and squeezing it, putting it down and squeezing it, and I saw the water, it begins to turn color. And I just don't know what they were doing, but I'm looking at the girl in the middle doing with that water, putting and squeezing the water down. And then finally, I saw one guy got up and he dipped the cup. And when he dipped the cup, he brought it to me. I think I'm supposed to drink it, but I don't want to believe that I'm supposed to drink it because she was playing in that water. And when he handed it to me, and I decided, well, I'm playing dumb. I don't know. I'm looking at him. And then he goes to somebody else and he gives them the cup. And they drink. And he goes back and gets some more and takes it to somebody else. And they just say a prayer. And finally it got to me. And I had to drink. I had to drink. Wow. I couldn't minister to them. I couldn't preach to them that night if I didn't drink. So I drank. The nastiest thing that you can ever drink. But however, when I talked to them after, they told me that's their custom. In that little bag is some roots and leaves and all of that. And even though they are now Christians, they believe in their culture that healing comes from those things. And we have to be able to differentiate the right, wrong, different.
Gotcha.
Things are just different. And sometimes we have to understand that, or we, as Dawn said earlier, we insult people, by not doing what they, and when I ate the dog, I ate the dog because I'm ministering to people. And the dog didn't kill me. And I said, if you have to eat it and go in the bathroom and put your finger down your throat, do it. If you have to. But that's what cultural intelligence is all about. Sometimes it's a lot of compromise. Now, if you suspect it's going to kill you, don't eat it. But however, it is always better if you have a real problem with it, you can tell the people that you are allergic to it.
Yeah.
That's a better way. Not that I don't eat that. No, just say you're allergic to it. And you're not going to go to hell. But just nicely tell people, I'm allergic to it, and I can, rather than I don't eat it or I don't want to eat it. You really insult the people because they have been eating it all their life and they are alive and they love it. All right, let's go back to our cultural intelligence. Okay, the next one. Go to the movies and read a novel. This is very good. In the movies, you rarely get to understand other countries. You get to see, if you go to see a movie, just look at the people, observe the people from different cultures. Just observe what they do, how they shake hands, how they meet each other, how they greet each other. And so this is very critical in terms of how we do cultural intelligence. Check your movies out. When you're reading a novel, just check about what do people do differently and how they do it, and so that we get a better appreciation for who they are. Now we come to the values. And in our last session, I think we did 5 of the values, and I want to go through them again for you. The polarities that you find in cultures. This section is very important because, as we did with time, as you saw earlier with time, clock time and event time, okay? Now I'm going to give you some of the polarities that you find in different cultures, and the question is, how do we deal with it? So there is individualism and collectivism. We studied that last week. Some societies, some cultures are very individualistic. And this polarity is the extent to which personal identity is defined in terms of individual or group characteristics. I told you last week about Ubuntu, the whole principle. Some cultures are very collectivistic. It's a group concept. They are more interested in what the group thinks than what the individuals think. We studied power distance the last time, the extent to which differences in power and status are expected and accepted. Some cultures, the distance between the boss and the employee, that's a good way to, the distance between parents and children, that's the power distance. And then we studied uncertainty avoidance, the extent to which risk is reduced or avoided through planning and guidance. There are some cultures who plan a lot. They plan, and other cultures, no, because of the variables in life, they find that planning is really a futile effort. So they, rather than being disappointed, so we have to understand that. And there is this cooperativeness, and we didn't talk about this last time, but these are values. Some people, cooperativeness versus competitiveness, it is the same as individualism and collectivism, but the social scientists use this term. The extent to which achievement and competition are valued in contrast with a priority on social relationships. Then we have time orientation. We did that before. Event time, clock time, and we covered context, high context, low context, the extent to which communication is direct and emphasizes roles and implicit understanding. This is the one that, this last one is one that we did not cover. Doing and being, the extent to which action and results are emphasized and valued. When we work in a church environment, this is very critical. Doing and being. Some people are about being, and some people are about doing. The people who are about doing are results oriented. They are hung up on the results rather than the being. What comes first in our church environment, in our theology? I had a slogan in my church, connection point, Marlene, a place to belong, and a place to become. Now, some people caught on it, and my district superintendent came by and he says, shouldn't it be the other way? Shouldn't they become before they belong? And I said, no. People want to be a part of a group. And if the church becomes a part of that group, if they can belong to the church, then the task of becoming begins.
Yes.
They don't have to change before they become a part of who we are.
Right.
Judas never changed. but Jesus kept him in for a purpose. And to individuals, if we are going to be competent with cultural intelligence, we will understand that people must belong before they become. I like the black church in America. I was pastoring and somebody told me, Pastor, you don't ever open the doors of the church. I didn't know what that meant. And I told them, well, that's not my job. That's what the janitors do. That's a language I didn't understand. And then
you may come by letter, candidate for baptism, or Christian experience.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
The doors of my Father's house are open.
And I didn't understand that. And so one Sunday, I said, when I made the invitation, I said, are there any people here who would like to join the church? You've been coming here for a while and you want to join the church. And I would take them into membership right away. Anybody here wants to get saved? Anybody here wants to get sanctified? And my superintendent told me, he said, you can't be taking people. I said, no, I know they can't vote, but I can't work on them unless they belong to me. I take them into membership right away. I give you the right hand of fellowship. And once you come in, then I'm going to tell you what it means to be a disciple. What it means to be a person committed to Christ. Because they are now mine. They belong to us. Let people belong before they become. Because it is the only way we will be able to reach people. Any comments?
That's cool.
Doing and being, and that's very critical as we work with different individuals. And then this one here, explore your cultural identity. Who are you? What national and ethnic cultures have most significantly changed you as an individual? What does success and failure mean in your own tribe, in your own? So let me ask this. How many of you have a family tree? You got one? Okay. Dawn, you got one too? Okay. I found a family tree to be very interesting and a good exercise. Know your culture. You know, the doctor, whenever you go to the doctor and they ask you whether is there any diabetes in your family?
Yes, they do.
You know, any of your family got a heart attack or anything, they understand the importance of your roots, the importance of your genetic wiring. And it is important for all of us, if we're going to be involved in cultural intelligence, if we're going to study other people's cultures, we need to know our roots.
Yes.
We need to know where we came from. We need to, you know, I take it to the extreme and I say, you got to study Africa. But family reunion is a very great time to discover your roots.
Yeah.
You know, not to, you can't ask those who get drunk. You're going to have them all the time. No, don't ask them because they're going to be talking all the time. But a family reunion is a great time to ask people about your roots. Where did grandma and granduncle and all these, but understand your own roots. As you understand your roots, you will understand why you are the way you are. Yeah. Understand your culture. Understand your background. The greatest experience of my life was going to Tobago. My father belonged to Tobago, and I went to the house where he grew up. And as I went to the house where he grew up, it's right on the ocean in Palo Tavera, Tobago. And it goes back into my head That's why he swam so. I mean, the guy could swim. We would go to the beach and my father would swim out until you don't see him. You don't see anything.
Wow.
And we, as children, we admire. But you go to Tobago and understand the most treacherous waters is where my father grew up. And we try to walk out into the shore, and you walk out into the water, and before you know it, there's a big drop. You have to swim. You have to be able to swim. And I just imagine children. So it made me appreciate my own understanding of who my father is, why he swam like that. So it's important to understand our roots.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, very, like you said, it's very important. I think we, in our culture, I'm from Yoruba tribe of Nigeria, in Nigeria, from the Yoruba tribe.
Yeah.
We and Nigerian generally, when you want to marry, our culture demand that we have to investigate the other people's culture. And now, if I'm a man, like I want to get married to a woman now, my mom and my dad, they have to take the name of the lady. They have to investigate the family history. And I love that. Why? Because they have to know what happened. Does marriage last in this family? Does the woman stay in the husband? Are the women promiscuous? Are they faithful to? These are the investigations they're going to do. And what kind of sickness happened in that family? Yeah. And they do that. Once they do that, they tell you, this is our findings. But if you should say you want to go forward, go ahead, go ahead. But for our finding, this family, they know these people, they have sickness, they die young, they don't have all kind of things they're going to tell you. But and it's been working. That stabilizes our marriage, honestly.
And that's your background. You grew up in that background, and you are who you are today because those underpinning values and assumptions that you have. That's critical. It is important. CQ drive is great, but boy, without CQ knowledge,
nothing.
And of course, the other two that we're gonna do next week. But this CQ knowledge, we have to study people, understand why they do what they do, why they are the way they are. Okay, going back to next. I said that's my weakness because I'm not linguistic, but those of you who are comfortable, who speaks more than one language here? Okay, all right, Barbara, what you speak?
Well, I speak a little Spanish, but I'm in the deaf ministry.
Good.
So I'm learning to speak to the deaf culture, and that is so exciting. Oh, it's so exciting.
Anybody else has more than one tongue?
I think I speak Yoruba and English.
Yoruba, okay.
Yoruba,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anthony?
Oh,
come on, boy. Oh, so you are patois.
Yes.
Now that's broken French. Well, I don't like to use the term broken. It's colloquial French, right?
French Creole.
Now, would that be the same patois they speak in Haiti?
Very close.
It's close.
We have some, yeah, but it's close. Yes.
Okay.
Is it the same? Is it the same in Aruba?
I'm
what
not
they talking Aruba? Dutch?
I'm not sure about Aruba.
They speak patois too, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But I know Jamaica has a patois, the Jamaican patois.
That's right. That's right.
But that was
and Belize.
French Creole.
French
Belize
Creole.
too.
Okay. Dawn, you don't feel at home here. you don't speak any other language, right?
And I speak a little bit of Spanish, but
okay.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Tidmore, you picked up any other language?
No is the short answer, but I do. It's funny. Somebody sneezed, and I remember learning "God bless you" in Chinese in first grade. It's called Chinchi Poyak, but I don't know officially speak any other language. But I did take Spanish in high school.
That's right. Yes, yeah. Gary, you got more than one?
No, but I from time to time I would look into Spanish and try and learn some Spanish from time to time.
Good, good. Marlene, you picked up any what Pig Latin?
No. No.
Yeah.
I would have loved to learn to speak Hindi or Urdu, but
yeah. And Justin, do you speak any other language?
No, just one.
Just one. Okay. Yeah, that's my weakness. I just, you know, I'm not good with that. Whoops. Am I sharing?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And the other, seek diverse perspectives. Always seek diverse perspectives. There are two sides to every story. This strategy is most helpful when you purposely find a cultural group that represents a set of beliefs or norms that are in conflict with your own. Juba, that's for you. Attend one of their gatherings or events. Go to a religious service or a rave club, but visit places where other things are happening. And number 9, recruit a coach. And let me expand on this. When they say a coach, they're not necessarily talking about somebody who will teach you about cultural intelligence, but find somebody who you can always ask about a certain culture, and you know they're going to tell you the truth. That person becomes your coach.
Gotcha.
You know, and it is good to seek a coach. Somebody from a different, if you want to understand Hispanic people, find somebody that you can always go to and say, how you say this, how you say that. You know, that person becomes your informal coach. And it is critical in cultural intelligence that we find somebody who we can always talk to in terms of how we get along with people from a different culture.
And that is so important, Doctor. That is so important, Oliver, because learning, when they teach you Spanish, they teach proper Spanish. But when you're talking to people, there's a whole different Spanish that you're speaking.
And you have to be careful. You can cuss somebody out.
Yes.
And now, these are the ways to enhance your CQ knowledge. See culture's role in yourself and others. Understand what's happening with your roots. Understand what's happening with other people. Why they do what they do. Review the basic cultural systems that we talk about, the disparities and the values. Learn the core actual values of a people. Understand different languages, of course. And best practices. Study a foreign language. Read international novels and memoirs. Be globally informed. Gain some basic insights about your assignment. And go to the grocery store. And finally, here is a host of stuff that you can be doing. The ways to enhance cultural intelligence. All of them are packed in these last 2 slides. Ways to enhance your cultural intelligence. That's my class for tonight.
Wow.
Looking at they attend the cultural activities. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah,
Yeah, because when I came here the first time to the carnival, talking about the carnival. So I look at it. I'm used to carnival, and I was standing by the road looking at the carnival. So one Christian brother just saw me, and a lady said, "Why, Juba? What are you doing here? You don't know you're a minister of God?" I was like, why? I'm just watching. He said, no. As a Christian in Grenada here, you are not supposed to. No, and I said, well, how do I know? I have to learn your culture, and I have to know how to know what they are doing. They may not be, they loving it, they love it, they enjoy themselves. So let me see what is happening so that I'll be able to know, because we have to, as a Christian, that's what we call local knowledge, and you have to know the local knowledge and mapping of any environment you are. And they will get so mad at me that, when I get to church, you're like, this man, you want to join carnival, I felt so embarrassed. So I withdrew myself because I need to mingle with the Christian.
Trinidad, to Dawn and Barbara, and well, Tidmore may know about this, but this Mardi Gras thing, this celebration that you have it in Brazil and these places, but the 2 days before Lent, I think they have something like that in New Orleans, but it's 2 days before Lent. There's rivalry, revelry, and it's a whole carnival thing. Well, the missionaries, when they came to Trinidad, they told us that, as Christians, we can't go to that and we're not supposed to that. And they would have Nazarene Day, and, you got to sneak around. So I was always sneaking around and going. But this is our culture. At one time, they told us we couldn't play the steel drum.
Wow.
The only musical instrument invented in the Western Hemisphere in the 20th century was the steel drum from
Exactly.
Trinidad. But the missionaries came and they told us we can't do that. Now, of course, they have it in the churches, but in my days in the church in the 60s, we couldn't do that.
Wow.
But it's a culture, what missionaries have done in so many places, they can't separate this culture with religion. This culture, there are some things people do, and you can't take those things away from a people.
Right. Correct.
But that's the culture.
Wow.
Any other questions? Culture does trump religion, and that's why cultural intelligence is so important to us all. Okay, well, it has been great. Gary, you can dismiss us in prayer, brother. Where Gary at? He's still here?
Good night. Okay, let's pray.
Dismiss us in prayer, Gary.
Let's pray. Father, we bless your name. We worship you. We exalt you. We give you all the honor. We give you all the glory. For you are great and you are mighty. There is none like you. We thank you, Father, for this moment and for this class and what was taught tonight and what you would have received, Lord God. I pray, Father, that you would instill in our hearts the desire to reach cultures, Lord, impact different cultures, Lord God. We thank you, Father, for the wisdom from Brother Oliver. Pray that you continue to bless him, continue to empower him, continue to strengthen him. Continue to be with us, each and every one of us, Lord God, as we seek to live a life for you, as we seek to glorify your matchless name, as we seek to bring you glory, even in different cultures. We give you all the honor, we give you all the praise in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.